All right, it is the divisional round playoffs. 4 games, 8 teams remaining, and it's going to walk through my thought process. It is early in the week. We don't have Sims up yet. We get those tomorrow, but we have projections, we have ownership numbers, and I kind of want to just go through my process for attacking these slates. I'm going to just focus on the 4 game slate, and then I'm going to do some lineups and builds and sims for both 2 game slates and 4 game slates later in the week. So I'm going to start off just before I look at ownership, before I look at projections, I'm just going to kind of go game by game, kind of like my overview, as well as some like nitty gritty weather, kind of go team by team snap share from like last game. Something that's kind of relevant here. 3 of these 4 games are regular season rematches. Not that that means like a ton, but going to look at those box scores as well. I think it's worth looking at just to see if there's anything that sticks out. So let's go through the first game. I'm on the solver right now. 16.5 implied team total for Houston. Really low, lowest on the slate. And 25 team total for Kansas City, who is rested off of a bye. Real quick, this is going to be on Saturday. The weather in Kansas City. I have this pulled up. Kind of just looks like it's going to be really cold. Doesn't really look too windy. Maybe a little bit damp, but doesn't look like it's going to be snowing or anything like that. I think it's just mostly going to be cold. Yeah, that's really cold to me. I think to them, you know, elite athletes, they're probably going to be looking at like 10 degrees or below as like really cold. I don't know. To me, this doesn't feel like the weather is that big of a deal other than it being really cold. But let's go look at this game. So on the KC side, they get a bunch of defensive players back. I believe Chris Jones is coming back. And they played once earlier in the season. And when was this? It wasn't that long ago. And this is when Pacheco and Hunt. I don't actually know if Pacheco like could just come back again, or like if he got hurt in this game. Actually, I think he got hurt in this game because I think this is the game right before. Yeah, where they rested their starters. I'm gonna go double check this actually while I'm on this tab. Okay, yeah. So Pacheco didn't play the last game against the Steelers. No, okay, so he got hurt against the Steelers. I was just way off there. So, yeah, we're always trying to figure out the Pacheco Hunt split. Andy Reid came out and said that like it's probably going to stay the same. I have a bias towards Pacheco. I think he has upside to have it shift in his favor to where he gets like 60 to 70% of the snaps, which would be like a big outlier. I don't think Hunt has that same. I think he caps out at like 55% upside. So not really looking to play Hunt. Mahomes threw the ball 41 times. They've been throwing a lot more the last like last half of the season, I would say. Hollywood Brown, I remember, had 8 targets this game. This was a short slate. I think this was like, this was like the Christmas slate. Someone was saying that Hopkins had like these contract incentives / de-incentives where they didn't want him playing a certain amount of snaps because otherwise they would owe a pick. That seems really silly to me to make that big of an assumption. I think if like you were wanting to play Hopkins, you could then level yourself into thinking that like he has additional unlocked upside that the market doesn't know about because now they're going to let him play more snaps because he's already fulfilled his whatever regular season. I'm treating that as completely neutral. So a couple of things stand out. Casey's D line is really good. Honestly, their defense is really good. They've only allowed a 100-yard receiver once all season. I think Nico's the best receiver on the slate, other than A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown's team doesn't pass that much. So I'm going to take a lot of the Texans players just out of the player pool. Stroud's going to be out of the player pool. Mixon's going to be out of the player pool. I'm going to leave in Nico because I think he's the best or second best receiver on the whole slate. And I'm going to leave in Schultz, and I'm going to leave in Mechie for now. Woods has a hip injury and may not play, probably plays, could be limited, could be more limited than the market knows. I'm going to keep Mechie in for now. Looks like Mechie missed this game. So coming back to the solver here, I guess what we can do is just look at the teams here. So yeah, Mahomes coming up as the third best value. This is the only thing that's not right so far, I believe, is Mahomes' ownership, which as a big favorite, as a really good value, it's going to be pretty high ownership on Mahomes. If I wasn't, I think I'm only going to play one lineup, and I think I'm going to optimize for the spy, and I just don't want to play Stroud. I definitely think all quarterbacks are in play, for sure. But yeah, I don't want to like theorize over what I would or wouldn't do. I'm not entering 150. This is kind of like slate overview and then lineup optimization for one lineup of the $100 spy, which is like a 1 to 2 to 3K person field. And we'll be able to run sims for that tomorrow. And it's going to be a lot of ownership and leverage and game theory. But I do want to kind of get an idea, of some concepts before I start simming things. Like I want to kind of think about, does overstacking one game, one team, couple teams make sense here? Probably. Does like Xing out all the Texans make sense? Maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and take Stroud out of my pool. And then I'm going to go ahead and take out Mixon and Damian Pierce and Dare. Honestly, I'm not going to play Kareem Hunt or Samaje. And I'm honestly probably not going to play Pacheco, and I'm probably not going to play Mahomes. I'm probably looking to target a quarterback from the Washington-Detroit game, or Lamar, who's my preferred side of that game, or Hurts. So getting ahead of myself here, I'm just going to start taking out. Kind of painful to cross off Josh Allen there. Like Lamar at 7% first shot. That just feels not right. But that's probably who my quarterback pool is going to look like. But yeah, let's go look at real quick. Let's look at the snaps from last week for the Texans. And, Mixon dominated again. If Mixon didn't have such a bad matchup as such big underdogs, 100% he'd be in my pool. But I'm only running one lineup. I don't want to play Mixon. Definitely would be in my pool if I was running more. Kind of like how Stroud would be in my pool as well. All right, so Dell's out. Nico played 88% of snaps. Hutchinson did see more than I expected. It's kind of interesting. So with Deontay Johnson being gone, maybe this just kind of helps the Hutchinson, Mechie, and Woods. And of those three, I think I only like Mechie. I like Mechie the most, and so that's who I'm gonna. I'm not even showing the right tab. So yeah, I don't have the targets pulled up from last week because PFF stopped doing the PF. Let me see if Nathan is doing his. Nathan Jonke. Yeah, he kind of stopped doing all the. Yeah, his stuff was so good though with snaps and targets. And anyway, Stover's now out, which is going to bump Irv Smith, and it's going to bump Schultz. So I guess I'd keep those in the pool for now. We don't need Brevin Jordan. He's on IR. We don't need Teagan. He's on IR. Honestly, not going to play these backups. We can take them out. We can take these guys out. Okay. I like to kind of narrow my player pool a little bit. Again, if I was doing more lineups, I wouldn't be so aggressive so early on. But yeah, we can take some of these guys out. This is just kind of my process. Cleve Freeman only played like 6 snaps last week. Let's look at Justin. So Justin Watson scored, I believe. No, he had 0 catches. Justin Watson scored. Again, I'm showing the wrong tab. I'm sorry. Okay, so I was just taking some people out of my player pool. Kansas City. So week 18, they rested. Week 17, I think was the Steelers. Yeah, so Pacheco gets hurt, which means Hunt ended up playing more. And then Marquise Brown, I thought he would have played a little bit more than that. I think Mecole Hardman may be coming back. Yeah, so it looks like he was limited in practice. Looks like he's coming. He may just be on IR. I don't actually know. Yeah, so Woods is DMP so far. Woods being out like really, Woods and Deontay Johnson being out would like really boost Mechie. Honestly, if Woods was out, I would add back in Xavier Hutchinson in the pool. So yeah, let's keep in Hutchinson for now. And then we're going to not play Woods on the hip injury here. And then I'm guessing they don't have Mecole Hardman. They've got him projected for... So he's on IR, but I think he's allowed to come back. Yeah, so we'll know when they do a rosters. I think by Friday we'll know for Mecole. But again, Chiefs are kind of like Buffalo. They're just super hard to know who to play. They're cheap, and so like you don't have that much downside if you're wrong, and like if you're right. Like we saw Curtis Samuel be in the optimal last week. Justin Watson was in the optimal on like the Christmas slate, I believe. That was like a dart, but both of these teams, Chiefs and Bills, they have like 5, 6, 7 pass catcher rotations if you count all the tight ends as well. It's not a team I'm looking to stack. I don't want to X him out of the player pool just yet, though, because maybe there's a piece that makes sense to save money. I actually really like Hollywood Brown this week. I think he has, kind of like how I mentioned earlier with DeAndre Hopkins and like that contract thing. I think Hollywood Brown, at least like from the eye test, from what I know, and just like my bias towards him as like a good player, I think he has upside to make a leap in terms of like his snaps if he's good, if he's healthier. And I think he's the most talented receiver. That's not Ray Rice, who's injured. Xavier Worthy, to me, is second, but obviously he may just be like a better points per dollar play, like project better. He may just be better. So yeah, obviously Worthy's in the pool as well. But yeah, so way too much time on this game. This is a game I'm mostly looking to avoid. Everyone's gonna be playing Chiefs D. Let's go to the next game. So Commanders at Lions. No weather. This is a dome. They did not play during the regular season. We can go here and look at the snaps for Commanders. So they beat the Bucks. Eckler 47%. Kind of surprised McNichols saw 10 snaps. I can see that going down as the stakes rise even more. And Eckler way outplayed Brian Robinson Jr. And I think they'll be trailing, so I think Eckler's in play here. I played Eckler last week. I think he's in play. I don't really have interest in the other backs. And then I got to go look at the targets and we do some target route share stuff here, but no real interest in McCaffrey and Crowder. It's just like too few snaps. Like Chris Moore's even getting on the field. I don't think people are going to like overly chase Diami, but these pieces are all in play to me. This is like an offense that I think is going to score. This is a quarterback I'm interested in playing. I don't think I'm going to go with Daniels as like I'm probably going to lean towards Lamar, but definitely going to make some Daniels lineups and look at it. But I'm going to leave Zacchaeus and Brown and McLaurin in play for sure. I think Bates is in play. I think on these short slates, people are too quick to X out backup tight ends. And sometimes, like we watched the guy Solo Million last week where he played Darnell Washington that scored 2 points. He also punted with Diami Brown, but like he went like punt to then jam in the studs. And like I'm not saying that's optimal or that's good for this week, but I think you want to leave them in at least to start your builds. They're not as like atrocious of a like it's one, the position is pretty gross. Like there's no McBride or Bowers. I mean, there are Kelsey and Laportas and Goddard's, but like unless tight end, unless someone drops like a 20 ball, 25 ball and like blows the position away, it may be fine to just take like a 3 and save a bunch of money. So I'm rambling, sorry here. And then I wanted to also look at Detroit's snaps. I know this is with Montgomery out, but when they played, so I think that Montgomery like doesn't play that much. Everyone's kind of thinking that he's going to play like. So ETR said that the number ETR said was 85% of his regular season share, but his regular season share was like between 45 and 65. It was like between 45 and 50. It's like basically 50-50, plus or minus 5%. And I don't really see Montgomery getting 40% of the snaps here. I think he's going to get closer to like 30, which is like quite a bit lower than 40%, 30 to 35% maybe, or lower. I just don't think, one, I think Gibbs has earned it and is better, and I think they know that in some capacity. But I just think things are different in the playoffs, and I think and I think normally you would split load in the regular season to